Have you ever pitched a perfectly good idea or defended a common practice, only to have it shot down? Not because it doesn't work right now, but because of where it originally came from. You aren't alone. Philosophers and logicians have tracked and named this specific trap so we can break through the noise of a bad argument. Over the next few minutes, you will learn to spot what is known as the genetic fallacy. We will break down exactly how it works, and I will give you 2 specific, battle-tested counterattacks to dismantle it in conversation. You don't need a degree in philosophy to do this. You only need a willingness to look closely at the evidence and a basic grasp of cause and effect. Mastering this skill ensures you evaluate arguments on their actual merits, instead of being manipulated by the emotional baggage of history. Let's define the terms. The genetic fallacy happens when someone evaluates a person, practice, or idea based strictly on its earlier context, completely ignoring the relevant changes that have altered its character over time. The flaw here is structural. Dragging an old evaluation across time to a current situation breaks the connection. Things change, concepts evolve and shed their original contexts. By the time that past value reaches the present, it no longer fits. In formal logic, this breaks the relevance criterion. For an argument to hold up, the premises you use must have a direct, logical bearing on the truth of the specific claim you are making today. If we accept the genetic fallacy, we allow outdated history to dictate the present. Rational debate relies on current evidence, not past ghosts. Now that we understand the mechanics, step 1 is spotting this pattern in the wild. You have to look past the emotional subject matter and track the underlying structural flaw. Let's look at a common example. Someone argues that a couple shouldn't exchange wedding rings because, historically, the rings symbolized ankle chains. Their premise is the ancient ankle chain, and they draw a line to the conclusion that, therefore, we shouldn't wear rings today. The arguer entirely ignores the current reality. The cultural meaning of the ring has evolved over centuries into a symbol of mutual commitment and equality. Consider a completely different topic: politics. A voter refuses to support a candidate for governor simply because they went to grade school together, and the candidate was a goof-off who couldn't be trusted with homework. The hidden assumption here is that a human being hasn't matured in the decades since childhood. The candidate's behavior at age 10 offers no actual evidence about their executive skills today. Let's look at one more example: a debate over high school activities. A religious group forbids students from attending the spring prom, arguing that dancing originally started in pagan mystery cults. Ancient cult practices have zero relevance to whether teenagers should socialize at a school event today. Marriage, politics, high school dances, the topics vary wildly, but the trap is identical every single time. An arguer takes a past origin and weaponizes it to attack a present value. Identifying the trap is the first half of the battle. Now let's look at how to actively dismantle it in conversation. Your first tactic is the present focus question. The goal here is to force your opponent to drop their historical anchor and deal with the facts right in front of them. When they bring up the origin, ask them directly, what is it about this thing in its present form that you actually find objectionable? This shifts the burden of proof. They must discuss modern facts or admit they have no argument. If they stubbornly cling to the origin story, you escalate to attack number 2. Try this exact script. Tell them you refuse to eat a master chef's food because when he was 5, he made mud pies. They will immediately agree that your mud pie logic makes no sense. When they do, you point out that their argument relies on the exact same flawed structure. By deploying these 2 attacks, you strip away their emotional leverage. You finally force the conversation completely out of the past and onto the solid ground on rational, present-day evidence. You now have the tools to handle this. You know how to define the genetic fallacy. You can spot the structural pattern across different topics, and you have 2 specific methods to shut it down. Remember your core rule of engagement. Never let an opponent drag you into debating the past when the present condition is the only thing that matters. Try testing this out today. Scroll through your newsfeed or listen to a political broadcast. You will start seeing the genetic fallacy everywhere. True intellectual independence requires evaluating ideas based on their current reality. Protect your reasoning, stick to the present evidence, and don't let the shadows of history make up your mind for you.